The chains were lighter than she expected. That was the first thing Lyris noticed as the transport vessel shuddered through the void, carrying her and a dozen others toward whatever fate awaited them. Not freedom, never that, but something strangely worse. The chains weren't meant to restrain strength. They were meant to remind. She sat curled in the corner of the holding chamber, her slender, pale blue arms wrapped around her knees. Her species, the Ilari, were known for their empathy, an evolutionary trait that made them healers, diplomats, and, tragically, perfect victims. She had heard the stories. Sold. Broken. Used. She had prepared herself for pain. The others in the chamber barely spoke. A hulking insectoid clicked softly to itself. A reptilian creature hissed in its sleep. Across from her, a gray-skinned humanoid stared blankly at nothing, eyes already empty. Lyris wasn't empty. Not yet. But she would be soon. The doors hissed open with a metallic groan, and harsh, white light flooded the chamber. Figures stepped in, tall, armored, faceless behind reflective visors. Buyers. Her breath caught. Line them up, one voice barked. Rough hands grabbed her arms, pulling her to her feet. She stumbled, her thin legs barely holding her weight as she was shoved into a line with the others. This was it. The auction. The marketplace was a cavernous hangar carved into the belly of a massive space station. Voices echoed in dozens of languages, sharp and eager. Platforms displayed living beings like merchandise, each one tagged, cataloged, priced. Lyris tried not to look, but she couldn't help it. A small childlike creature with glowing eyes stood on a nearby platform, trembling as a group of armored buyers inspected it. One poked its arm, another forced its mouth open to check its teeth. A bid was placed. The creature whimpered as it was dragged away. Lyris felt something crack inside her. This is where I end, she thought. When her turn came, she was pushed onto the platform. A collar around her neck flickered to life, projecting data above her head. Ilari, empath class, high compatibility, docile. Perfect. A perfect slave. The auctioneer, a tall being with elongated limbs and a voice like grinding metal, gestured toward her. Rare specimen, it announced. Emotionally responsive. Highly adaptable. Ideal for personal service or neural experimentation. Bidding started immediately. Numbers flashed. Voices rose. Lyris stared at the floor, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might burst. She braced herself, imagining the worst. Pain. Endless pain. She had heard what some buyers did with empathic species, how they fed on their reactions, their suffering. She closed her eyes. 200,000 credits. The voice cut through the noise. Calm. Measured. Different. The crowd quieted slightly. 250, another bidder snapped. 300,000. The calm voice again. Lyris slowly lifted her head. He stood at the edge of the crowd, not like the others. No heavy armor. No grotesque modifications. Just a simple dark coat, boots, and a face uncovered. Human. She had heard of them. Unpredictable. Dangerous. Capable of great cruelty or great kindness. The stories never agreed. 300,000 going once, the auctioneer called. Another bidder hesitated. 300,000 going twice. Silence. Sold. The sound echoed like a verdict. Lyris's stomach dropped. The human stepped forward. She expected the worst the moment the chains were removed. Freedom, even temporary, felt like a lie. The human, her owner now, approached slowly. He wasn't tall compared to some species, but there was something steady about him. Grounded. He looked at her. Not through her. Not like she was an object. At her. Can you walk? He asked. His voice was gentle. Lyris blinked. Yes, she whispered. He nodded and turned to the handler. Remove the collar. The handler laughed. Standard control protocol. I paid triple the asking price, the human said evenly. Remove it. A tense pause. Then a click. The collar deactivated. Lyris gasped as the faint pressure in her mind, something she hadn't even realized was there, vanished. She looked at him, confused. Why? She asked before she could stop herself. He met her gaze. Because you're not property. The words didn't make sense. Not here. Not in this place. Come on, he said, gesturing gently. Let's get you out of here. His ship was small, sleek, and surprisingly quiet. No cages. No restraints. No harsh lights. Just space. Lyris stood near the entrance, unsure if she was allowed to move further. The human noticed. You can sit, he said, pointing to a cushioned bench. You're safe here. Safe. The word felt foreign. She sat slowly, her body tense, waiting for the catch. There was always a catch. He moved around the ship, checking systems, his movements efficient but unhurried. After a moment, he returned with a small container. Food, he said, offering it to her. She hesitated. It's not drugged, he added. I don't do that. How do I know? She asked quietly. He gave a small, almost sad smile. You don't. You'll have to decide if you trust me. Trust. Another dangerous word. But she was starving. Slowly, she took the container and opened it. The scent was unfamiliar, but not unpleasant. She took a cautious bite. No pain. No dizziness. Just food. Warmth spread through her chest. Tears followed. She quickly looked down, ashamed. I'm sorry, she whispered. For what? For reacting. He frowned slightly. You don't have to apologize for being alive. The words hit her harder than any blow could have. Days passed. Or maybe weeks. Time felt different on his ship. Lyris learned his name was Elias. He never touched her without permission. Never raised his voice. Never treated her like anything less than a person. It confused her. Terrified her. He gave her a room. A real room. With a bed. And a door that locked from the inside. The first night, she didn't sleep. The second night, she slept for 12 hours. By the third, she started to believe. Not fully, but enough. Why did you buy me? She asked one evening as they sat in the small common area. Elias looked up from the console he was working on. Because you needed someone to. That's not an answer. He sighed, leaning back. I work off the grid. I've seen places like that station before. I can't save everyone. Then why me? He met her gaze. You looked like you hadn't given up yet. Her breath caught. I didn't want that to be taken from you. Silence filled the room. For the first time since her capture, Lyris felt something unfamiliar. Hope. But hope is fragile. And the galaxy is cruel. They were 3 systems away from the station when the attack came. The ship's alarms blared, red lights flashing. Lyris jolted awake, her heart racing. Elias? She called, rushing into the main area. Get down, he shouted. The ship shook violently as something slammed into its hull. What's happening? She cried. Slavers, he said grimly. They tracked the purchase. Her blood ran cold. They want me back. They want their investment, he corrected. And probably me too. Another impact. The ship lurched. Elias moved quickly, pulling up controls, rerouting power. We can't outrun them, he muttered. Too many. Fear clawed at her chest. This was it. The inevitable end. All systems are failing, she said, her voice trembling as she read the flashing warnings. Elias clenched his jaw. Then he made a decision. Get to the escape pod. What? She stared at him. Now, Lyris. I'm not leaving you. You don't have a choice. I won't go back there, she shouted, tears streaming down her face. I'd rather die. He froze. Their eyes locked. And in that moment, something shifted. Then we don't run, he said quietly. What? He stood, grabbing a weapon from a compartment. We fight. Lyris had never fought in her life. Her species avoided conflict at all costs. But as the enemy ship latched onto theirs, as the hull began to breach, she felt something new rising inside her. Not fear. Not despair. Something stronger. Elias handed her a small device. Stun emitter, he said. Point and press. Her hands shook as she took it. I can't. Yes, you can, he said firmly. You're stronger than you think. The hull tore open with a deafening screech. Figures poured in, armed, armored, ruthless. The same kind that had sold her. Take the girl alive, one of them barked. Lyris's vision blurred. Her heart pounded. And then she moved. The first shot was clumsy, but it hit. A slaver dropped, twitching. Shock rippled through her. I did that, she whispered. No time, Elias shouted, firing his own weapon. The fight was chaos. Blasts of light. Shouts. Metal tearing. But Lyris didn't freeze. She fought. For herself. For the first time. For him. They were outnumbered. That much was clear. Elias was injured, blood staining his side. Lyris was exhausted, her hands trembling as she held the emitter. We can't hold them, she said, panic creeping back in. Elias glanced at the control panel, then at her. There's one option left. What? He hesitated. Then, self-destruct. Her eyes widened. That will kill us. It'll take them with us. Silence. The sounds of approaching footsteps echoed through the corridor. Lyris looked at him, at the man who had bought her and given her everything she thought she'd lost. You said I don't have to give up, she whispered. He nodded. Then don't. Something in her mind ignited. A memory. A truth she had buried. Ilari weren't just empathic. They could connect. Amplify. She stepped forward, placing a hand on Elias's chest. What are you doing? He asked. Trust me, she said. Their minds touched. Just briefly. But it was enough. She felt his strength, his determination, his will, and she reflected it, amplified it. Elias gasped as a surge of energy coursed through him. What? No time, she said. Go. The final battle was different. Elias moved faster, stronger, more precise, and Lyris stood beside him, not behind. Together, they pushed the slavers back, one by one, until the last of them fell. Silence. Heavy. Unreal. Lyris dropped the emitter, her body shaking. It's over, she asked. Elias nodded slowly. It's over. Ending weeks later, the ship drifted peacefully above a quiet, uncharted world. Green. Alive. Free. Lyris stood at the viewing window, watching the clouds swirl below. You don't have to stay, Elias said behind her. I can take you anywhere. Find your people. She smiled softly. My people wouldn't understand this version of me. He stepped beside her. And you? She looked at him. I think I'm still figuring that out. A pause. Then, you changed everything, she said. He shook his head. You did that yourself. Maybe, she admitted, but you gave me the chance. She turned back to the window. I was ready for pain, she said quietly. I had accepted it. That my life would be nothing but suffering. Her voice softened. But you showed me something else. Elias didn't speak. He didn't need to. Kindness, she finished. The word lingered in the air. Powerful. Simple. Real. So, what now? He asked. Lyris took a deep breath, then smiled. Now we choose. And for the first time in her life, she truly meant it.